Well, hello everybody. Well, here's what I'd like to do with you today. I need to review with you a little bit. Since I'm not there and you have a quiz coming up, I thought this would be the fairest way to do something, is show you the problems that are kind of on your quiz. There's a total of 9 of them, only 9 of them. I'm going to review them with you, remind you how to write the interval notation and all that good stuff, and then we'll go from there. So as we go through this video, if you want to pause it at any time because I get going too fast, or if you want to pause it and work ahead of me and then see if you're right, that's okay too. So use the video how you want. Follow along with me. Before you take the quiz, I'm going to have you throw this sheet into my bin up front, so I give you points for that. So there's 9 on here, so here we go. My first one says 7x plus 21 is less than or equal to 35. Remember, we need to get the x on one side by itself. Since it's an inequality, we need a number line. So I'm going to subtract 21 from both sides and get 14. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 7 and get x is less than or equal to 2. Now, number line wise, it's going to look like this. I got my 2, I've got a closed dot, and since the variable's on the left, I'm going to the left. Or since the sign's pointing to the left, I'm going to the left. Now, don't leave one number on your number line. Put 2 integers around the 2. So that would be a 3 and a 1. Set builder notation will look like this. It's just the answer that you have from right up there with the x such that right in front of it. And then the braces are the cool parentheses. So there it is in set builder notation. In interval notation, I'm coming from the left, so I've got negative infinity to 2. Since it's or equal to, I need a bracket. So guys, there's what your number 1 looks like. On this quiz today, there's no compound inequalities like you had last class. We'll save those for another day. Here goes my number 2. I'm going to add 28 to both sides and get 60. We're going to divide both sides by negative 5. And I'm going to get x is flip the sign greater than negative 12. X is greater than negative 12. On my number line, open dot and greater than to the right. Once again, don't leave one number on the number line, so let's put 2 integers around it. So to the right of negative 12 would be negative 11. To the left would be negative 13. Set builder notation, x such that x is greater than negative 12. Put those in the cool parentheses. In interval notation, I'm going negative 12 to infinity. Remember, the infinity always gets a parenthesis. And in this case, the negative 12 gets a parenthesis because it just says greater than. So there's our number 1 and number 2. So just some review there. Here's our number 3 and number 4. Looks like I need to distribute first. So I'm going to have negative 12x minus 9 minus 2 is less than or equal to negative 131. Now, I put this one on here, guys, just to remind you, do not do this. Don't add 2. They're on the same side, so just combine like terms. So I've got negative 12x minus 11 is less than or equal to negative 131. In your calculator, you can type in negative 131 plus 11. So I've got negative 12x is less than or equal to negative 120. Divide both sides by negative 12. So I got x is greater than or equal to positive 10. So notice what I did there, guys. I divided by negative 12 and flipped the sign. So don't forget that. Number line, 10, closed dot. I'm going to the right. The 2 integers around 10 would be an 11 and a 9. Set builder notation, cool parenthesis, x such that x is greater than or equal to 10. In interval notation, bracket 10 to infinity. The bracket because it's included, the parenthesis because infinities always get the parenthesis. Now through number 4 on there to remind you how to handle a variable on each side. We want to get the variables on the left, the non-variables on the right. So on my number 4, I will subtract away 2x from both sides. So I've got 3x minus 12 is less than negative 24. We're going to add 12 to both sides and still get negative 12. I'll divide both sides by 3 and get x is less than negative 4. On my number line, negative 4, open dot, everything to the left. Put your two integers around that number, which happens to be negative 3 and negative 5. Set builder notation, x such that x is less than negative 4. Interval notation, I'm coming in from the left, negative infinity to negative 4, parenthesis, parenthesis. And guys, as we go along in this, if you really get stuck on something, if you think your neighbor knows, you might ask them too. But now they're solving linear inequalities. Remember, no compound inequalities, no ands and ors, just simple inequalities like that. I'm going to switch gears for my next 3 problems and review with you how to solve absolute value equations. Remember guys, on absolute value equations, you should have 2 solutions. What you need to do is make sure the absolute value is on one side of the equal sign by itself, and my number 5 and number 6 are. Once that is, we do 2 equations. 3x minus 19 is 11. That means 11 units to the right. 3x minus 19 equal negative 11, meaning 11 units to the left. Now solve those 2 linear equations. I'm going to add 19 to 11 and get 30. I'm going to divide both sides by 3 and get x to be 10. So one of my solutions is 10. On my other side, I'm going to add 19 to both sides. So I've got 3x is equal to 8. I'm not even going to touch my calculator. I know x is going to be, my pen's messing up there, x is going to be 8 over 3. When you divide a number by 3, you're going to get a decimal. So my answer's 10 and 8/3. I put the solution set in those parentheses. Remember those parentheses, those braces, tell the world what your solution is. Okay. Number 6 is going to be another easy one. The absolute value is already all by itself. So I'm going to go 12 minus 5x is 13. And I'm going to go 12 minus 5x is negative 13. Now, be careful here. Notice that the variable is second instead of first. So go grab your 12 and let's subtract 12 from both sides. So I've got negative 5x equal 13 minus 12 is 1. Divide both sides by negative 5, and I'm going to get x to be negative 1/5. I would also take negative 0.2 because it's a decimal that stops. I would rather have the 1/5, the negative 1/5. Here goes my numbers. The other part, let's subtract away 12 from both sides. So I've got negative 5x equal negative 25. I did that in my head, of course. You could type it in your calculator. Divide both sides by negative 5 and get 5. So my 2 solutions, negative 1/5 and 5. So guys, I did 2 problems there where the absolute value is already by itself. Now, of course, you know what's coming on number 7. Notice that the absolute value is not all by itself. So we need to get it by itself first. So when I'm get done here in a second, I want to see the absolute value of 3x minus 4 is equal to some number. And it's two baby steps. Let's add 12 to this side. So I would be up to 30. And then let's divide by 3. So my other number is 10. So what did I do again? I added 12 to both sides, made that a 30. Then I divided by 3 to get the 10. Once you've done that step, now we're home free. 3x minus 4 is 10. 3x minus 4 is negative 10. Now it's just like my number 5 and number 6. Let's add 4 to both sides. And then let's divide by 3. Once again, I didn't even touch my calculator. 14/3 will not reduce. Over here, let's add 4 to the negative 10 and get negative 6. Let's divide both sides by 3 and get negative 2. So my two solutions, 14/3 and negative 2. Now, while I'm here, let's add in a 7b real fast. It's not on your worksheet, but you got a little bit of room there. Let me remind you how to handle it if there's a variable on this side. So let's drop that problem down if you would. I just made it up, so hopefully it'll come out okay. Absolute value of 3x plus 5 is equal to 2x plus 11. The steps are the same. I need to take 3x plus 5 and set it equal to 2x plus 11. And then I also need to take 3x plus 5 and set it equal to the complete opposite, negative 2x minus 11. Those are our steps there. Now let's just solve it, and then I'll remind you about what we called extraneous solutions. So I'm going to minus 2x over here. So I've got x plus 5 equal 11. I'm going to subtract away 5 and get x to be 6. Now, you need to decide if we can keep the 6. Now remember, we only do this if there's a variable on this side. So let's plug 6 right there. If you get a positive number, 2 times 6 plus 11 is definitely positive, you keep it. So we're definitely keeping that one. Now let's see if the other one works out. So I'm going to add 2x. So I've got 5x plus 5 is equal to negative 11. We're going to subtract away 5 and get negative 16. I'm going to divide negative 16 by 5, so you could leave it like that, or call it negative 3.2. Now we have to decide if we're keeping it. So I'm going to plug it right there. In your calculator, we'll go 2 times negative 3.2 plus 11. If you see a positive number on your calculator, we keep it. If you see a negative number on your calculator, we got to throw this away. In this case, it's positive. So both of them are keepers in this case. Both of them are keepers. Here's an example when we wouldn't keep it. Let's say this come out to be 2, and I had something like this, 2x minus 5. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 5 is negative 1, so then we would throw it away. Okay, on to number 8 and number 9. We haven't done these in a while. We did it on that very first day we talked about absolute value. I need you to remember absolute value is a grouping symbol. So we're just going to sub in our numbers, simplify it, and then bring the answer home. So your number 8 looks like this. It says a plus 2. Well, a is 2, So I've got the absolute value of 2 plus 2 minus the absolute value of 3 times negative 3. Now my next line, 2 plus 2 is 4, so I've got the absolute value of 4 minus the absolute value of negative 9. Well, the absolute value of 4 is 4 minus the absolute value of 9 is 9. Now 4 minus 9 is negative 5. So plug them in, simplify, and then we got it. My last one, I've got A times B times C, so I've got the absolute value of 2 times negative 3 times 4 plus the absolute value of 2 times B, which is negative 3, times C, which is 4, whatever those answers are, minus 10. Well, this becomes the absolute value of 2 times negative 3 times 4 is negative 24 plus the absolute value of negative 24 minus 10. Well, the absolute value of negative 24 is 24 plus 24 minus 10. Run that through your calculator, and we're going to get 38. So guys, that's exactly what your quiz looks like. Make sure you place that up in my bin so I can give you some points for that. You'll take your quiz, and then you'll have a review assignment. Let me know if you have any problems, and good luck.